Good morning, everyone. My name is NIta and I live in Melbourne. On the 18th of October, which was last week, I attended an emotional clearing technique session that Joshua was hosting, just like this, something like this, via Zoom. And at the end of that session, Joshua kindly offered a free discovery callback session. And I took him up on that offer. So Joshua called me back and we spoke. And the reason I was calling him was for help with somebody else, somebody who was very dear to me. And after Joshua had guided me through that process, he asked me how I was feeling. And I said, I've got a lot of health issues, one particular thing that bothers me a lot, but I would come back to him when I was more financially able to deal with that situation and to call on his help. But Joshua was quite insistent. He wanted to know what the problem was. So I proceeded to tell him that I've got to develop these terrible, painful lumps on my legs during COVID, and that they have stayed with me and are terribly painful. But I would deal with that at another time. Joshua then was very insistent. He asked me if I could work on a small healing session with me. It was an offer I very, very gratefully accepted. So he said the only prerequisite to that was to be open, trusting, and childlike, and enjoy it like a child would enjoy a game with curiosity. I was more than open for that. So Joshua then guided me and led me through this healing process. He asked me to close my eyes and to use both my hands and extract. Imagine I was extracting the pain from those terrible, painful lumps, and to gather it all together in a ball and identify and associate a color with it, which I did. He then also asked me to call on a strength that I could identify with through this healing process and while he worked with me. And I called on Jesus, Jesus Christ was my healer and mediator, while Joshua worked on this process with me. And literally, we took this ball of pain, of purple pain, and Joshua guided me through a process of re-energizing, cleansing that pain first, taking that pain away from that, taking all that sickness away from that ball of pain, which then turned into another color. And while he worked with me through this healing process, guiding and instructing me, the ball not only changed color, but it got re-energized, totally re-energized. And then he guided me and instructed me to put that re-energized new ball back into my legs, which I did. And then we just took a moment and sat very peacefully and closed. My eyes were still closed. And then Joshua then asked me to open my eyes and asked me how I was feeling. And I was a bit mind blown by then. But then he then asked me to touch my lumps. And I was a little reluctant to do that. I didn't know what to expect. But when I touched the lumps, I was shocked, absolutely gobsmacked to find for the first time in 3 years, there was no pain in those lumps. I had to touch them again and again and again to make sure I wasn't imagining. Yeah. And I did that day before, and I did that yesterday, and I've done that this morning again. And I'm just so grateful. I can't believe that something that I've suffered and endured, such painful lumps in my legs. The lumps are there, but the pain has all left me. Pain has completely gone. And I just give thanks and praise for that. I thank my mediator, Jesus, my healer. And I thank Joshua so much from the bottom of my heart for taking that time and trouble to go through that process with me. I really am so grateful. And I just felt that I had to come and share this testimony with everyone.